Good morning. Welcome to Just for Today, a time of eclectic reading, sharing of perspectives, meditation, and prayer. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of the newly joined Centers for Spiritual Living Communities of Columbia and Greater Baltimore. Today is August 21st, and this morning's session is pre-recorded because right now I am sitting at an interfaith prayer breakfast. So this technology allows me to be with you here at 10 o'clock and be somewhere else. This morning I am reading from No Ordinary Moments by Dan Millman, and I opened it up to page 212, Throwing Out Old Assumptions. Until we throw out all our old assumptions, until we freshly examine who we are, what we value, and what we can do, we remain bound by beliefs based on false data. If we focus on what we can't do, we hardly notice what we can do. By changing the focus, looking at the solution, not the problem, we start to reach for the carrot and stop worrying about the stick. To repeat the words of the steelworker on the 76th floor, don't look where you don't want to go. That really sums up the affirmative nature of science of mind in a nutshell. And I think we're all, whether we realize it or not, the journey of humanity is this process of questioning everything we think we know. To be open to considering that perhaps there's something more, and to move beyond the limitations of what we've been taught. Because mostly what we're operating on is someone else's understanding. And, if we didn't grow with new information, if we didn't question things, we wouldn't even have science. Science is that whole process of challenging the limitations of what we know in order to learn more. And even that is fraught with the stuckness of staying in old information, because many people interpret the learning of science as science lying. And I don't know where that came from, but somewhere deep in our ancestral conditioning, and maybe it's that lizard brain that only looks for finite, discrete answers to make us feel safe. Somehow that gets translated to uncertainty. Questioning, being open, is somehow unsafe. And my experience is being willing to know more, being willing to question, being willing to see a bigger picture actually enhances our safety. If you're familiar with the book The Gift of Fear, Gavin de Becker focuses on that extensively, that when we are actually dealing with our physical safety, to have a myopic view actually makes us less safe, because then we ignore all of the things on the periphery that might be actual threats to our physical well-being. So we can extrapolate that to our emotional, our mental, our physical, and our spiritual. And open our heart, open our mind, open our view think that's one of the things why we're seeing so much pushback on this whole idea of being woke. And whether you relate to that term or not is irrelevant, because what it's really, the activity of pushing back against that is really the activity of keeping things in the limitation, keeping things in the established comfort zone of false information. And it really does threaten the identity that we've lived with for hundreds of years to move beyond that. And while I can appreciate that that's a level of cognitive dissonance that's excruciatingly uncomfortable, I can also appreciate that it's worth walking through the messiness to something bigger. So that's what comes up for me in that reading. And since this is pre-recorded, I'm just going to go ahead and reread that, take us into our meditation, and I will conclude the recording with a spiritual mind treatment. Until we throw out all of our assumptions. Excuse me. I tried to hold that back. It didn't work. Until we throw out all our assumptions, until we freshly examine who we are, what we value, and what we can do, we remain bound by beliefs based on false data. If we focus on what we can't do, we hardly notice what we can do. By changing the focus, looking at the solution, not the problem, we start to reach for the carrot and stop worrying about the stick. To repeat the words of the steel worker on the 76th floor, don't look where you don't want to go. one love, one power, one presence, one substance that is the source of all life. It is infinite intelligence expressing. It is infinite desire to express and expand, infinite possibility that is the very nature of itself. We see it everywhere we look. We feel it within us, around us, because we are it. I am made of this one infinite allness, this nameless, changeless substance that expresses in the multiplicity as diversity of life. No two expressions the same, and yet it, the essence of it, consciousness, the absolute reality, the substance of all life, whatever we call it, never changes, because it already is everything. It simply expresses in multiplicity, never separate from itself. And so I know that I am not separate from it, nor am I separate from any expression of it. All completely connected, inseparable, within the wholeness of one. And for that wholeness to be expressed, each and every expression of it is integral to it. The integrity of the whole depends on each expression of it, which calls me to own my place, calls me to own my authority to express, to speak my word, recognizing that my word is the word of the infinite itself, speaking its desire into being. Recognizing that I am a portal of divine activity, of the creative process. And that being all that I can be is integral to the expansion and expression of the whole. And what is true of me is true of every expression of life. And so as I speak my word, I am speaking for all of creation, because it is creation speaking for itself. There is no separate I. So I claim and affirm that every expression of life is awakening to the abilities, to the innate power born within them, fully present as them, that the creative process itself is unlimited and is the very nature of being, all being. So we are each empowered to look to solution, to look to expansion, to release any belief that holds us back and stand firmly in what is life expressing in brilliant multiplicity, challenging all the limitations and fully equipping itself to navigate the pushback and the challenges, to move forward into a glorious expression of newness with every breath. And I say yes. And I celebrate. I celebrate that this activity of creation, the creative process, is governed by spiritual law that simply acts upon what it is given and makes it so. And so I know that it is already done, and I let it be that. And I let it be that by releasing every thought that would challenge it, every idea that would resist it. I let them all go. I release my mental hold. I release my resistance. I simply be what I am. Ashe. Aho. Amin. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.